Hey, my Gold Tribe, I'm about to give you a real story time right now, and there are going to be two parts to it. The first part, this one, is going to explain to you how I started drinking, why I started drinking, and how I stopped drinking alcohol. And the second part, I will explain to you in details the effects of not drinking, what happens to your body, because trust me, it was a roller coaster I did not expect. Let's get into it. Now, every time I talk to young people these days, I explain one thing. Whether it is your normal life, your relationship life, or your work life, before you get into any of these domains, you have to learn yourself. You have to learn what you can handle in life. If you have addiction tendencies, if you don't know how to set your boundaries, then you have to work on them. What are your do's and don'ts, and what are your advantages and disadvantages to knowing yourself? If you don't learn these things I mentioned in your early stages of life, you're going to be prone to making a lot of mistakes, which might actually cost you your life in the long run. Now, for those of you who know me, and this is why I'm making two parts, I don't want to rush. For those of you who know me and have listened to my story, you all know how I started drinking. Now, I was a person who, because of the way I was brought up with my strict parents, it was don't drink, don't smoke, don't do any drugs. And I also watched a lot of movies, so I knew not to do a lot of things. By the time I got to Romania, I went through university and everyone smoked, everyone drank, except me. I used to watch people drink and go to parties, and I would go to parties too, but I was never tempted to drink until I got into my relationship. Now, at the beginning of my relationship, nobody ever bothered me to drink. There was never any pressure till at least almost 3 years into it. Then the story switched. Then it became, oh, you're not fun. Oh, you're not, they actually called me frigid. They said I was frigid because I didn't know how to have fun, and I was messing the fun for the rest of the group. And I never understood it, because I would go to club, I would dance, I would be jubilating, happy. But later on in life, I realized that was just a strategy to get me to the point where I'm not aware of what I do, and I end up spending more. Because like you all know, I was the breadwinner. Now, for the first 2 years, they didn't bother me. But in that third year, it became so stressful to me. And because I was in this crazy, sick mindset of I have to do everything to keep my relationship, I started indulging in alcohol. First of all, it started as me learning how to make different cocktails for my partner and his friends, so I feel like the cool chick. And then it moved very quickly, because that wasn't enough. Then I actually started drinking. I tried a lot of drinks, it didn't work. And mind you, I had ulcer at this point. So every time I took a sip of alcohol, my stomach would burn. But you know what? I pushed past it, because guess what? I'm gangster like that. And this is why I tell young people, learn who you are. Your no should not be a maybe. Your no should be absolutely no. You have to learn from young, no matter how much you adore people, no matter how much you love them. If they go against what you believe in, you have to disconnect from that relationship or friendship, because it will always lead you down a path you might not be ready for. Like they always tell us, and they ring it in our heads, show us your friends and I'll tell you who you are. That saying is so important, because we're now in a generation where people want to feel cool and join their friends to do a lot of activities. Mind you, this is also one of my addictions, which we'll speak about. You have to know what kind of personality you have. I, for example, I have an addictive personality, and I am a creature of habits. If I like a meal, I will eat the same meal till doomsday. Do you understand? That's just how I move. If I like a specific drink, I will drink that same thing till doomsday. Now, my own recipe for disaster was the almighty Jack Daniels. You see this right here? This box, I have had this box in my house for 5 years. And the only reason I did not drink it is because it was too expensive and too beautiful. I had asked my friend to buy me Jack Daniels, and they came up with this bottle, but I found it too cute. You see how adorable it is? It comes also with the booklet, so I found it very strange to actually open it. And to top it off, I would combine Jack Daniels with the almighty Red Bull. Very dangerous combo. Now, if you know anything about alcohol, Jack Daniels it's a downer. It gives you that kind of feeling, while Red Bull is an upper. So that is actually the worst kind of combination you could have. How did I get addicted to alcohol? I started drinking before I got pregnant, and when I got pregnant, I stopped immediately. But as soon as I finished breastfeeding, of course, the torture came again. Oh, look at you, you're so boring, blah, blah, blah. So, in me trying to fit some other person's narrative of what I should be, I started drinking. It even came to the point where they tried to convince me to do smoke weed and all that because, oh, they said it's natural. And I can't lie, I tried twice, but when I tell you I became so paranoid, I said, I don't want to lose control to that point. I also remember when it comes to other kind of drugs, a friend of mine, which I had to cut immediately, swiped her finger in, the powder and swiped it in my gum so quickly. All I knew is that for the rest of that night, I was so uncomfortable. My head was spinning. And why I cut her off is, first of all, you don't know if I have tolerance for anything. And you put an addictive substance in my mouth, which we're not playing those kind of games. Now, I told you I had ulcers, so pushing alcohol through my system was always very difficult. But I kept going. I kept going till I found the drink I love. I have tequila in my house. I have XO, I have a lot of alcohol in my house, but they were never my poison. It was always Jack Daniels and Red Bull. Not Jack Daniels and Coke, not Jack Daniels and anything. Jack and Red Bull, because I am a creature of habit. I loved the taste. I always get bored at the point of a specific thing I'm obsessed with eating or drinking, but I never got obsessed with this one. Now, over time, it went from drinking to feel like I was cool, to drinking because I was depressed and anxious, to now drinking because it now formed a personality. I thought my coolness came from me drinking. And mind you, in all these years of drinking, I only got drunk once because I was having a Mai Tai, which was sweet, and I was sitting down. So when I stood up, it became, oh my God, I couldn't see well. So I'm like, I don't like not being in control of myself. So for years, I told myself that alcohol, this was my preferred drink. So I didn't find a reason to stop. Even when people told me it was bad for me, I'm the kind of person that I need to mentally be there to get ready. That's why I never tell people what to do with their lives, but I will show you the benefits and damages of your habits. Now, like I say, I have amazing friends around me. They didn't know how to tell me, oh, you shouldn't drink that much, because it was a daily thing for me. I'll come back from work, I will do things, I'll make me a drink. Especially when I was painting, I'll make myself a drink because I didn't see the damage in it. I wouldn't drink when I'm outside because for some reason, I feel like the alcohol in Nigeria is laced. So every time I would drink outside, I would feel dizzy woozy. Now, I was very scared because I know I have an addictive personality. I was scared that I wouldn't be able to keep up with this change. And this is why part 2 is coming. I will tell you what happened to me after I stopped drinking. And you would not believe what actually killed it for me when I said, enough is enough. First of all, this right here saved my life. This series right here saved my life. I had previously been telling myself that I really need to stop drinking, but I thought it was going to affect my personality, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't want to disappoint my family into telling them, oh, I'm going to stop or slow down, and then I pick it back up. But in January, from December, I started watching this series, Shameless. And oh my God, it gave me the biggest ache of life. Everything that had to do with bad behavior, drugs, alcohol, everything was in excess in this movie. And when I say it triggers something in my brain, I said, no. I have told myself for years that I do not have the power to stop a habit. But when I tell you that was it for me, this movie right here, I have told you guys before that I am a person who I don't need to make mistakes to see. I need to see somebody else make them, and I learn from them. So in the first week of January, I had my last bottles of alcohol, and I said, you know what, let me at least try to slow it down. And oh my God, the roller coaster I went through just to stop drinking was more than I anticipated. But I am so grateful that from the first week of January, I have not had a sip of alcohol. I can stare at it in my face right now, and it does absolutely nothing for me. Come to part 2 to see the effects of not drinking, and oh my God, how it makes me feel now. And you see this bottle right here, it would always be a reminder of what I overcame. Like, it's pretty, and that's exactly where it will stay. In the box. I have loved you so deeply for years, but she has to go.